So here we are. I asked for the privilege of being able to walk around. So I've got something hooked on my dress. And if we suddenly have a great reveal, just applaud. Thank you. Well, I had an interesting experience the other day. Actually yesterday, I walked to the elevator with my husband, and two people came out and they said, "Oh, you two are holding hands. Are you newly married, or is this something that stays in Vegas?" We are not interested, or we're not used to seeing people together who care for each other, who are like 6 years out from their 50th anniversary. So therefore, that's kind of what happens. Yeah, don't do the math. I'm 73 years old, and people look at me and go, really? Yeah, it's true. I scare my doctor too. At 73, one of the most wonderful things that I have the experience of is my husband looks in my eyes and says, "Sweetheart, let's get into it." Yes, I'm 73. And so much of the reason I can do that is because the first person who looked into my eyes and said, "You are beautiful," is sitting on the front row. Go ahead, sweetheart, stand up. So in the right circumstances, a good man and a good woman can enhance each other's lives. So we start talking about intimacy. What are we talking about? Intimacy is eye contact. It's warmth. It's skin touch. It's gentle words. It's presence and constancy. It's comfort and validation. And when we look for these things and when we find them, this is how we feel. I always feel, don't read slides, because people are usually okay with reading them themselves, which is why we make them. But we start feeling safe. We feel fulfilled. But when we don't feel intimacy, real intimacy, that's when we start to feel unhappy. So of course, all of us want intimacy. But our world has changed from what it used to be. I don't have to rant on and on about the fact that we have thingified our society. We humanize things that are not human. And we make objects out of things that are not. You talk to your TV? What do you say to your microwave? What you done yet? You talk to your food? And when we get into the world, we talk to people, but we're really talking to things. We virtually hug. I bet you've told your cell phone more than you ever told your wife, your husband, your best friend. Your cell phone knows things about you that nobody knows. And it tries to love you back, except when you tell it things like, "You stupid thing, why aren't you working now?" So what we discover is that, there's a little dip here. What we discover is that even when we are in circumstances where we can communicate with people, we find ourselves sneaking off and talking to that other person. Because I can do everything online. I don't have to go to a store. I don't have to leave my house. I can get groceries brought to my door. I don't even have to see the guy. He can hook them on my door and run, because he doesn't want to see me either. In fact, in that thingification process, even though we want to be slender and beautiful, we all weigh about 2 tons, because we've got this car that we make an extension of self. Such an extension that we find out that people are involved in road rage because we can't get intimate. I feel more affection for that car. You haven't seen our car. I feel affection for it. It takes us places. Otherwise, we kind of park over there. But we feel more affection for our car than we do for the people in the next car. And if they happen to dent our fender, cut us off, or do whatever, we will take them out. In fact, we find road rage is becoming such a problem now. People are getting killed. So let's look a little bit at intimacy. What's the biggest organ in the body? Thank you. Oh gosh, you guys are good. It's not the heart, the lungs, anything else. It is the skin. And the skin has certain purposes. First of all, it is our protector. It regulates temperature for us. It feels pressure. Too much pressure, it feels pain, and that's a warning. We can tell the difference between silk and something else, polyester. And we just look better with skin. We wouldn't look that good if we didn't have skin. I tell you, I've seen those pictures. I don't have to go into the monkey love thing because thank you so much, Dr. Eric. You have saved me time. But I will bring on the fact that how this came about was that around the 40s and the 50s, people wanted to do it better. So they would say, let's not mess up our children. Why are you giving them breast milk? It's much healthier to give them Carnation's evaporated milk. Or some other brand. I'm not here for Carnations. And so some scientists started getting together. We had Dr. Spock. There might have been people here whose parents were raised by Dr. Spock. And Dr. Spock said, don't touch your children so much. Let them be independent. And this was the way things were. In fact, my husband was telling me when his brother, thank goodness not him, when his brother was a little boy, you fed every child on a schedule, 10 to 6. What if you got hungry at 4:30? Mommy wasn't going to feed you because you're not supposed to be hungry. What's wrong with you? So this mommy had the food, this mommy had no food, this was the wire monkey, this was the cloth monkey, and Harry Harlow set up this experiment to prove that this touch, this closeness was much more important even than food. And furthermore, in his studies, he would bring in some disturbing thing. He'd bring a dog in, or he'd make a loud noise. The monkeys would invariably run to the cloth monkey. And when the stimulus was taken away, they would calm down very quickly. But the ones that were stuck with the wire monkey would remain agitated for longer periods of time. There was something about being comforted that allowed us to go deeper. Don't get scared. There are many different kinds of developmental studies, and I'm going to use one of them. This is by Erickson, Eric and Joanne Erickson, and deals with the stages that we need to go through in developing. I'm going to take them one by one, so I'm taking a picture that's smart. The first stage that every human being should go through is the stage of learning how to trust the environment. Dr. Rarick referred to those children that were in places where they were allowed to just lie down for a while and nobody came or took care of them. I was a part of a study as a 16-year-old. We were put in a hospital and our job was to just play with these newborn babies whose mothers had died or abandoned them. So that was my job, because they realized that if a child did not get a certain amount of stimulation in those first 28 days of life, that child would go into failure to thrive, would turn his face to the wall, and no matter how much formula you gave him, would die. So our job was to keep those children alive. It was a great summer and so much fun. If you go through this stage properly, then you can feel trusting about the world. My needs will be met. I can be secure that no matter what happens to me, somebody's going to show up with food, and they'll probably be a nice warm person that will allow me to snuggle, and I'll feel close. The second stage, once we have gotten to the point that we can trust our environment, is the stage of will. So the person who has hope now has to be able to feel like doing something. So once we get beyond that first stage, I want to be able to assert myself. The child who says, "Me do it," "No," and pushes people away is learning that I have my own person. I have my own personality. I have my own needs and interests. I can control my world. Look at the expression on this child's face. He's accepted, and he feels that acceptance. But this is a curious age because we get to the point where right now we're learning about shame and doubt. So when you were a little baby and learning to trust, what did you do? You did this, it was so cute, it's so sweet. And then you started discovering your foot. I won't do it here because I'm wearing a dress, but I can actually put my toe in my mouth still. And you see the baby do that, he's so cute, he's so cute. And then the baby discovers this middle part of his body. And we go, "Bad baby, what's the matter with you? Don't touch that." Or he discovers that he's got feces coming out here, he's kind of like, "No, no baby, oh so bad." Well, if you took something and wrapped it up, and every time, like for 4 seconds, you throw this away and something came out, and so you'd be curious about it. At this point, self-exploration is normative. And if you don't give the baby a hard time about it, or distract the baby, do something else, the baby doesn't have to do that. Then he's like satisfied. He doesn't walk around doing this for a long time. But we do find that people pick up masturbation, so on, because something here has been declared shameful, and the infant or the little boy doesn't know why. The little girl doesn't know why. So let me check this out when nobody's looking. The third stage, once I realize that I can control my environment, is the point where I have initiative. What gives me initiative is a parent that is there to guide me. And when I make a mistake, if I try something new and it doesn't work, to say, "Here's how you do it. It's okay, don't worry. I'm here to support you." And when I feel that 15 minutes, I decide that I can change. I'll talk faster now. This is competence. This little girl who weighed about 1 pound when she was born, long story, I won't go into it because I've only got 14 minutes, was told, had lost her 2 front teeth. She was told by her teacher that she was ugly when she smiled. So this is her school picture on the left. Her grandma told her, "Sweetheart, you grin all you want. You be you. You're beautiful. And anybody who says you're not has a problem." This is a poem. I want somebody to read this for me. It was written by a 10-year-old girl. Anyway, somebody read this poem for me. All right, can you read that for me?
I am stupid. Nobody could ever say I have a talent for words. I was meant to be great. That is wrong. I am a failure. Nobody could ever convince me to think that. I can make it in my life.
All
I
right.
can make it in life.
Okay. How do you feel reading that poem?
I didn't like the first line.
You didn't like the first? Did you like any of it?
No, that just got me on the focus, unfortunately.
Okay, gotcha. If you wake up feeling you're stupid, then how are you going to develop confidence? How are you going to feel who you are? This was written by a 10-year-old girl. Now, I want another reader, and I want that reader to start from the bottom line and read it up. Anybody? Okay.
I can make it my life. Nobody could ever convince me to think that way. I am a failure. That is wrong. I was meant to be great. I have a talent for words. Nobody could ever say I am stupid.
A 10-year-old wrote this. Our lives are what we perceive them to be. Same circumstances, different view.
That is empowering.
Our next stage is to become a part of a group, to develop fidelity, to know who we are in relationship to others, to have our uniqueness, but know that we are a part of a larger whole. This is where we develop our identity, as opposed to becoming isolated and frightened of people. So I can feel like everybody else, but be me. And I don't have to criticize other people because I've got my group. And once I establish my identity, and once I can be faithful, which is what this is, I can become a loving person. Without establishing these previous stages, I am not ready to love somebody else because I'm still getting together in my life. I'm still learning how to trust. I'm still learning how to find my purpose or my will in life. I'm still learning how to be faithful. I need to have love, and I need to develop love and intimacy. This is where intimacy should start, in the relationship with another. That is where we learn to care for the weak and the helpless. As we grow out of our love, we start to become generative. We start to be able to support others. When we cannot, we are not able to care fully, because I'm still trying to care for myself. Then how can I be intimate with you? And if we have children, how can I take care of them when I'm still trying to take care of me? I see so many parents who jump into a picture because the child is doing something straight or something great, and here they are. Look at me, not the child. And the last stage is the stage of wisdom. By the time we reach the end of our lives, we should be ready to pass on our wisdom to someone else. So this man, some of you may recognize, happens to be talking with this young man and has shared a lot. People have issues with the police. This young man has started a program in this state in which he is trying to train other officers how to relate to people and how to be kind to people. I'm going to tell you a story about him. He was walking through a department store. A man came up to him and said, "Excuse me, are you Officer Lowen?" "Yeah." "Okay, you wrote the code, that sounds right." And he said, "Yes, I am." And the man breaks into tears and says, "You saved my life." And he says, "What do you mean?" He says, "You pulled me over the other day. I was drunk as a fish, and you said to me, 'Look, buddy, here's the deal. I got to take you to jail because you're not fit to drive.' He says, 'But before you go to jail, I want you to do something. Take out your wallet.' And he took out his wallet, and he says, 'Show me a picture of your kids.' He says, 'I know you got kids. Show me your picture.' And he shows a picture of his kids. And my son says, 'Now, if you continue as an alcoholic, you're either going to take yourself out or you're going to do something really bad and wind up going to jail.' Who's going to teach that kid how to ride a bicycle? Who's going to teach that child how to tie his shoes?" The guy said to him, "I got out of jail for my overnight stay, and I haven't drunk since. It's been 3 months." So you see, when you are wise and you pass your wisdom on to other people, you never know whose life you are saving. The ultimate stage of life should be that of absolute integrity. When you die, you should be lying there getting your last gasp in, and you say, "I want to pass my wisdom on to somebody else. I want others to benefit from life as I am. I'm satisfied with what I did. I'm at peace." I worked in nursing homes as a social worker, and I dealt with the people who were scared to die. Whether they had faith or not was not the issue. They had so many regrets. Why didn't I do things this way? Why didn't I do things that way? Why didn't I take advantage of the circumstances I had? We are all meant to grow. And my purpose here is to help you not go through this. I would ask someone to take a crack at it, but that would use up too many of my remaining minutes. Sometimes right and wrong are so relative and we have no direction. We don't know which way to go. We don't know how to solve our issues. We don't know even what questions to ask. And it is all too easy to become overwhelmed. As I said, if we haven't already gone through those previous stages, we are not prepared for what's coming next. You're always playing catch up. And we need guidance through these issues of fidelity and love until we find our way. I'm going to skip the abuse of power. Maybe we'll talk about it in my breakout session. That was a commercial. We can find out more about it. But what happens to parental love? We lose love too soon, which is why we have problems developing our intimacy. So, first of all, we have early parental loss, like those kids I worked with, the babies, because mommy died or daddy died or there's a divorce, things like that happen. Or there's caretaker preoccupation. It used to be that we had one-parent families, the other parent stayed home and raised us and did nice things with us and games and park and all that. Now everybody's working. One of my clients said to me, we're talking about mommy and daddy, and she said to me, oh yeah, my dad. He's the guy that I see sleeping on the sofa on Saturday mornings. And she said it with such disparagement, not realizing that she was in a private girls' school and that her father, who was foreign-born, was working 3 8-hour jobs full-time. And the only time he ever had to relax was Saturday mornings when he'd come and flop down on the sofa and sleep before he went to his next job. We're trying to give, maybe they would have lived better in an apartment than a nice house, I don't know. Or we have these childbearing concepts, like those of the 50s. Girls need to be tough, so don't give them a lot of love. Don't spoil your boys, you'll turn them into pansies, or whatever people would say about that. Or we have unresolved caretaker issues. A lot of guys feel it's inappropriate for me to touch my daughter, especially if she's getting like 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. A lot of those guys are guys who've had to deal with pornography, and they see images of girls who are about the ages of their daughters. Then, yeah, I'm not touching my daughter. I'm not going to tell anybody why, but that's why. Or we find people who are jealous or angry, but the caretaker has the issue. And there's jealousy and envy. As the girls are getting older, girls start coming into their beauty, just as their mothers are starting to get, like the wrinkles and the little varicose vein and all that stuff. And the mothers are jealous. They look at the daughters and they say, or we start feeling, I wish I had the opportunities you had. Maybe some of your parents said this to you. If I could have gone to college, my own father, who's older, well, he was an older dad, child of his old age, looked at me at one point and just went, what'd I do? He had found my pay stub and discovered that when I was 18 years old, I was making exactly twice as much money as he was as a 58-year-old. He did not speak to me for 3 weeks because he was so enraged. How could I? So a lot of issues block these types of things. Now we're discovering that young people, as Dr. Barrett pointed out, seem to be developing much earlier. The secondary sex characteristics come out, and we're still a child here. Our 6-year-old is this tall. We dumb down. We don't notice things about people that we're trying to relate to. Yeah, Harry, he's got issues, but he's all right. I love him, even though he's an axe murderer. And so if we are not as mature, we take on certain attitudes to pretend we are that mature. Again, I don't have to belabor the point. We're looking for intimacy. We're looking for closeness. We're looking for familiarity. We're looking for family. And if we're away from home, we're at school, we're in a different country, our parents aren't here, the topography is different, we go through culture shock. Therefore, we start looking for family wherever we can find it, looking for wholeness. And in that search for wholeness, we often find ourselves finding the wrong role models and the wrong comforts. We find that without adequate preparation, we can easily become victims. Who is victimized in the wild? It's not the gazelle that got up and did her morning exercises and is strong and is ready to run. It's the guy that didn't eat his Wheaties. And he's in the back of the line. And the lions are coming, and everybody's running, and all of a sudden, whoa, man, there's nobody behind me. We haven't learned. We haven't been nurtured by our families in the way that we should be. And so therefore, it's too easy to become victimized. So if we look for intimacy with someone who's not ready to give us intimacy, there can be a lot of difficulty. And these are just some of the things, including that we can wind up in a relationship with someone who seemed really cool, but actually is only relating to us because he's mad at so-and-so, or she's mad at so-and-so, and they never got it together or worked out, and now they're going to make you, innocent victim, pay. Because sometimes the people that we want to relate to are not as ready as we are. You took 5 minutes off, so I gotta get this in quick. So, when we invest, the results can be devastating. I do want to say very quickly, first of all, in relationship, violence is never okay. I don't care how wonderful he is. Ladies, you can live without a man. Man, you can live without a lady. Get out, get safe, get help, get over it, because no one has the right to deal with you in a way that you do not design. So what do we need to develop our intimacy capacity? We need to know who we are. We need to understand ourselves. And most of all, when we are not able to develop that, then we need to develop our own self-care. So why do I tell you these things? First of all, because they asked me to come up. Second of all, because with my 1 minute, I just want you to understand where I'm coming from. 73-year-old woman, I've got things that I want you to hear. I want you to hear these things because I want you to know how magnificent you are. I want you to know how incredible you are, and I don't want you to accept substitutes for the grandness you can have in your lives. So, by being an example, I hope to help you. Our son, when he was 16 years old, my husband and I, just learned how to drive. We should have been fearing for our lives, but we weren't. We weren't looking at him at all. And we are sitting in the back seat of the car. We're going through a toll booth, so there's a break. And he turns around all of a sudden and says, when I get married, I want what you have. And that's what you want to leave all of your children. And what I want to leave you, I want you to have what I have. And if I can in any way inspire you or help you or just get you to understand your own greatness and what you have to bring into a relationship, time is up. And that's all I can say to you. Have a wonderful day and enjoy it all. Thank you so much for listening.
give it up one more time for Dr.